It's hard to believe I'm having to actually ask this question, but I mean, is the federal government actually fixing to get involved with all this Caitlin Clark stuff? Um, I came across this article from the Wall Street Journal this morning. Clay Travis posted on his Twitter or X. I like Clay. I like paying attention to his take on sports and where politics and sports cross. I kind of ignore his politics only stuff, even though I have a lot of respect for it. I just prefer not to really pay attention to the political realm, but I couldn't help but notice this one because it was a Wall Street Journal piece talking about the Caitlin Clark and the WNBA, which was kind of bizarre to me. And I looked at it and I thought, man, surely they're not going to actually bring the federal government in on this, even though they probably need to. But after reading this, the question I want to tackle in this video is, do I think that the federal government actually is going to get involved with this? Because I'm starting to think they actually might, because just a lot of the factors adding up to the people who wrote this piece. I'll go over the piece a little bit, but I want to talk about kind of the movers and the shakers when it comes to this. First of all, Clay Travis is the one who posted it on his Twitter timeline this morning, or maybe sometime yesterday, and I saw it and read the article. And now it's all over YouTube. All the people I like are talking about it too, and they're giving very good takes. But Clay Travis, I mean, I don't think he would just post this for the heck of it. If he's posting an article about somebody saying, the government needs to step up for something, he's kind of, I guess, what I'd call in the know to an extent. He has him and another guy have a 3-hour political talk show on Fox Radio. They actually took over Rush Limbaugh's spot. Now, regardless of what you think about Rush or what you think about any politics whatsoever, he was a big deal. He garnered a lot of interest. He made a lot of money. He brought in a lot of viewers and got a lot of conversations sparked for anybody that cares about politics. I never really did. I mean, I respect him for what he did. I don't have anything against him. I felt sad when he died, but I'm just not really a political person. But I mean, that's. But the one thing I don't think he really argues that for him to be in that spot, I know he's interviewed President Trump quite a few times, and this to me is somebody who is kind of in the know. And the guy who wrote this article is an opinion piece, and it was written by a guy named Sean McLean. I actually made notes about this. I was gonna make the video, and then I saw everybody else was making videos about it. I'm like, ooh, I gotta get in on this. Sean McLean, he's worked in the offices of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Now, again, I'm not here to talk politics, but again, you can't really argue that those are not two of the bigger names in politics right now. Even somebody like me that doesn't really follow politics, I definitely know those two names. Trump, obviously, and obviously everybody knows about Ted Cruz. So this is a guy who knows a thing or two about getting attention, and he runs this. If I'm reading this right, he runs this organization called Origin Advocacy. Now, this is just straight up. They're not even trying to hide it. This is a lobbyist organization. And this isn't just any lobbyist organization. They have been hired by companies like Amazon, Dish, AT&T, and Anheuser-Busch, which is usually those people that makes Budweiser and Bud Light and Busch Beer, Natural Light, and all that. So we're not exactly talking about some fly-by-night people. These organizations are spending millions of dollars with this guy and his organization to lobby for things in Washington, to lobby for the laws to be better for them. So clearly this guy is in the know as well and knows how to get things done and how to attract high-profile clients. And let's face it, right now the WNBA's popularity is at an all-time low, at least as far as people just not liking it. People might be tuning in a lot more to watch Caitlin Clark and to watch some of these people we've seen when we tune in to watch Caitlin Clark, but a lot of us are not liking what we're seeing from this league at all. So if the government could get in there, and if some of these people could get in there and take down and knock the WNBA down a few pegs and force them to be accountable for what's going on with Caitlin Clark on the court, Caitlin, who's somebody who everybody loves, they can earn a lot of points for that, even if it's something that Caitlin probably doesn't want. And I'm not going to discuss my opinion as to whether or not I want to see the government being involved with this. You can probably tell by the tone of my voice how I feel about the government being involved with this. But they actually bring up some of the stuff he talks about in there. So he's talking about are her civil rights being violated, which is something the government could get involved with. And basically it comes down to, I believe it's Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which is saying that you cannot discriminate against somebody based on race, gender, religious preferences. I don't know if sexual orientations in there or not. I don't know if it would have been back then, but I wish I would have done a little bit more research on that. But he references that, and basically civil rights means that you have to respect people, and you cannot discriminate them even if you do not have, and I think the word is explicit discriminatory intent. So basically, even if you're not consciously saying, screw these white people, we're gonna keep them down, if subconsciously you're doing that, that's violating their civil rights. So can they prove that? Well, judging by a lot of the dumbass comments that a lot of these WNBA players have made, the answer is yes, starting with my personal favorite, and my personal least favorite, A'ja Wilson, saying, the disparity between attention and popularity between her and Caitlin Clark is because of race. And she basically says, she hates it and it boils her blood that people think it's not about race, because it is. She says that matter of factly. So in her mind, it is. We all know A'ja's basically the queen bee of this Mean Girls club. So, you have to, her words are going to carry a lot of weight, so they can definitely use that for sure to show that there's at least an unconscious bias. And especially if she can prove that race is not an issue, or if they can prove race is not an issue, but she thinks it is, that's something that could definitely be brought up. And also the statistics are just what they are. 17% of all flagrant fouls last year were committed against her. Can't do that. And I'm sure they'd be happy to bring those numbers up as well. And it basically talks about how Washington has really gotten involved with a lot of sports things, including the NCAA and USA Gymnastics and things like that. And he also brings up people like Gina Auriemma, of all people, saying, yeah, she's being targeted. Wow. So yeah, they could definitely make the argument that she's, if not blatantly, which I think is kind of blatant, but at least unconsciously having her civil rights violated due to race. So the WNBA might be in a little bit of trouble there. And going even further into this, he specifically references a couple of court cases, one of which actually, I looked at both of them, one of them I didn't really understand, but the other one was Harris versus the forklift system. This is a 1993 Supreme Court ruling. So this lady by the name of Harris sued Forklift Systems Incorporated for sexual harassment. She said that she was subject to sexual harassment, sexual insults, and sexual innuendo that was unwanted, and it caused psychological harm and affected her ability to work. Well, it went to a lower court, and the lower court said no, it did not. What was going on did not cause that. Well, it went to the Supreme Court, and this is a Supreme Court case that has been cited many times when it comes to civil rights, and it basically just says that that they unanimously sided with Ms. Harris, saying that that they can't be the ones to determine whether it causes psychological harm or not, and it's kind of irrelevant anyways. The precedence they set that is, from what I can tell, has been cited in numerous other Supreme Court cases and other court cases, is that the standard for a hostile work environment is something that a reasonable individual would consider hostile. Well, I mean, we can just look at the Caitlin Clark footage of her getting mauled out there and see, and I think any reasonable person would say, yeah, that's definitely hostile. So, I mean, they might have a heck of a case on their hands, and like I said, they can earn a lot of brownie points with those of us that are just sick of watching it, having to watch that. And basically, the standard, too, also says it's the employer's responsibility to prevent this from happening. And the WNBA hasn't prevented anything. If anything, they've tacitly, if not outright, encouraged it. And they also have to determine the frequency, severity, and whether it's physically threatening or humiliating. I think what's going to happen to Caitlin Clark checks every single one of those boxes. And, basically just, they have to determine also the civil rights. I can find my notes here. They have to, when basic rights, safety, and public confidence has been harmed. And I think you can say public confidence is in the WNBA and as an organization, their ability to do anything is severely compromised. Now, the WNBA is at a big point right now. They're fixing to make a lot of money off the new media rights deal. The ladies are getting ready to get paid more. Otherwise, these owners wouldn't be buying these teams up, spending hundreds of millions of dollars. They're not going to lock them out. They're going to give them what they want because they know they've got a lot more money on the other side, and the women don't even realize that. So we know that's going to happen. But I mean, they just have all this stuff. Her being ranked the ninth best guard, even though they guard her like she's God. The comments by the Mystics co-owner, when she won the Time Sports Person of the Year, saying that she shouldn't have won it. It should have been the whole WNBA. And I mean, they could just bring out thing after thing after thing, quote after quote, clip after clip. So when asking, are they going to do this? I mean, there's a lot for them to gain. At the end of the day, politicians are all about grandstanding and making a scene for themselves and being able to say, look, I did this, I caused this. And, the WNBA, because of the situation they're right now, is probably going to kowtow to them, understandably. And it's like I said, it's just one of those things. And he also mentions a letter that Jim Banks, is a U.S. representative of the state of Indiana, wrote to the WNBA on June 4th of last year. Obviously, why is he bringing this up now? Well, they've had an election since then. They had to do a presidential election. They had to try to get everything back in line. Now they can start going after some real brownie points. And this is a big one for him. In his letter last year, he mentioned, he's got 3 daughters and he's worries about the harm that watching this will cause to them. And he brought up the Kennedy Carter attack and how Angel Reese stood up and cheered. So if you don't think Angel Reese is going to get drug into this, believe me, if she has to testify in front of Congress, that's going to be a train wreck that I just absolutely will not be able to turn away from. But she will definitely get drug into this for sure. And he questioned about the accountability, and that's one thing I've questioned for a long time. Do they not have a group in the WNBA that goes back and looks at these things and determines, yeah, maybe this person needs to sit out a game or, be fined or something like that? And I mean, they don't. I guess they have one because I think Sophie got fined for some comments about the refs, and that was about it. So, but it's just interesting that he's bringing this up over a year later, basically a year and 2 months later. He's bringing up this United States representative from Indiana, his letter up. Is this guy fixing to make some waves too? I mean, he can make a lot of brownie points there in the state of Indiana. So WNBA's put themselves in this situation. They won't fix it, and they won't do anything about it, and they might be getting ready to pay the piper and have to face up for their actions. So like I said, as you can probably tell, I'd rather the government worry about other stuff, but I mean, I'm just telling you the facts of the situation, who's involved, and what I know about politicians. I don't know a lot about politics, but I know politicians are all about grandstanding and showboating. And this would be a wonderful opportunity for them to grandstand and showboat for their brand, whether they actually get anything fixed or not. Just to make a spectacle and to humiliate the WNBA would be a great move for any of them, and with their voter bases, I'm sure. So that's, whether you agree with it or not, this was looking like something that I don't think it just came out of nowhere. I think, a lot of this stuff was mentioned for a reason, and I would not be surprised at all if this is being brought up because they're getting ready to throw some stuff at them. So stay tuned. Just when you thought this soap opera couldn't get any more dramatic, the federal government says, hold my beer. So take care. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later.